My name is Dr. Shobhusha Chishen. I am the Dean Research and Development of JIS College of Engineering. But herein I am here to talk about my physics courses. Okay, I am basically a physics teacher. I do take physics in the classes in the BTech courses, so first and second year. So now here I am talking about my second year courses, which is called Physics 2 courses. Now, second year course in Physics 2 is separate for separate branches. For computer science and IT, bouquet is something. For mechanical, civil, it is different. For electrical, electronics, all are different. Obviously, they are learning in a different semester. Now, it is stream specific. It is as per the requirement of your own subject. Okay. Say in the computer science and IT syllabus, we have added the latest computation like quantum computation. Like the applications of latest materials called nanomaterials, how the storage and display devices works. These things are not so much connected with the mechanical and civil engineering, who are also learning physics 2 in this course. So we have kept courses like the ultrasonics, okay, which is applied in mechanical and civil. The concept of building acoustics for civil, which is not needed for you. So basically, we have made it stream specific. We made a thorough analysis of the requirement of your course from your department, from your alumni, from the existing student. We made a survey. Based on that, course objective and outcome was framed, and let me present the same now. Now the course objective of this Physics 2 course for CSE and IT student is to introduce topics, okay, is to apply quantum mechanics for learning the latest of computation called quantum computation, learn quantum logic gates. Is to, as a student, you get comprehend about the hardware sectors of your devices, okay, the storage, display part, and also the latest storage devices. The entire electronics is moving very fast, and that is because of the revolution in semiconductors and now the nano devices. Okay, so an introduction to that. So that will be another objective of this course. And also this entire communication system, okay, it's based on the electromagnetic theory. Okay, so we'll also provide you some glimpses of electromagnetic theory, because later on you have got courses on the analog communication and digital communication. Okay. Now the major course outcome of this Physics 2 course for CSE or IT student is that after undergoing this course, you will be able to explain the electromagnetic theory with your basic knowledge of electrostatics, magnetostatics and electromagnetic theory. You will be able to explain the most modern computing devices using the latest idea of quantum mechanics and quantum mechanics principle. You will be able to explain the operation of the most modern storage devices, how it evolved from the magnetic storage to semiconductor devices. You will be able to judge the requirement of the latest material for the purpose of computing, for the circuit design, and for the storage material, that is the ideas of nanomaterials. Okay, so let us, and this is closely connected with your own program, so you can get that in the course outcome, program outcome mapping also. On the screen you can see the various modules that are present in this course, and you can also see the module that you will be starting with. We'll start with one of the promising modules of the course, as well as you can also see the topic that we will begin with. And in this particular class, whatever we will be focusing on, the related prerequisite, what is the objective of the class, and if at the end of the class you're supposed to get something from me, that is the outcome of the session. So that session outcome also you can see on the screen.
Okay, hello and welcome to class 13 of my Physics 2 courses. We are still with quantum mechanics, but we have made a long journey, and we are now applying all the ideas of quantum mechanics in some realistic problem. The real physics problem we are now solving. We have already solved problem 1. There has been an application 1 of Schrodinger equation that was explaining how electrons moves inside a metal. Okay, and we have used this. We have used the Sommerfeld theory utilized Sommerfeld theory to describe the electron flow in a metal. We have used the solved Schrodinger equation in all the cases. So basically, if you look at the entire description, this is me. Okay, that in my class, in our journey, electron, the most important object is obviously electron. Okay. And in our class, electron follows this green arrow. That electron shows the wavy nature. Wavy nature of the electron is manifested by the function psi. With psi, we can develop the entire mechanics, and psi can be obtained by solving the Schrodinger equation. These are the forms. And when we are solving the problem, we are more concerned with the time independent part of the Schrodinger equation, which is also an energy eigenvalue equation. Okay. So these are the list of operators which will be interacting with psi and give us the physical information. So this is the working equation of Schrodinger. It's a second order first degree differential equation. This is a time dependent form. And from problem to problem, problem 1 to problem 2, now we are in the problem 2 here. The main concern will be the potential energy term. So how it influences our problem, let us see. This will be replicate the motion of electron inside a junction diode. PN junction diodes are semiconductors. So it will be the study of how electron moves inside a metal, how electrons moves inside a semiconductor. Okay. You can see there is a germanium semiconductor, okay, with 4 valence electron, okay, and this is silicon and germanium. Atomic number is different, 14 and 32, but both of them has got 4 valence electrons. So it's an element of group 4 with a periodic table. And if I choose silicon, its electronic configuration is like this. Those 4 electrons are contributed by 3s and 3p. So when you keep many silicon atoms together, those 4 electrons are basically being shared amongst the nearby silicon atoms to make a covalent bonding. Okay, that you can see this picture. If I consider the middle silicon atoms, its electrons are all shared with the 4 silicon atoms, which are 2 are at the side and 2 are at the top and the bottom. Okay, so this has been the okay, to get the from intrinsic to extrinsic semiconductor. If you do n-type doping, that means you need more electron in the system. So you replace silicon or silicon I've been talking about here. Okay, replace with a pentavalent element, so it has got 1 extra electron, so that will be acting as a free electron. So then the ion, the positive, that replaced the silicon, here you are keeping, suppose you are adding phosphorus. Phosphorus is having valency 5. So phosphorus is losing 1 electron, so it will become a positive ion center and free electron. So each doping of n-type will create 1 electron, free electron, and 1 positive ion center. Okay. So basically this is the picture. Mode doping means each replacement of silicon ion will lead to 1 electron. So doping concentration means number of such electrons you produce such per unit volume. But minded, you do not only produce an electron, but you also produce 1 immobile positive ion. For p-type doping, it is the opposite story. You have to add an element which lacks 1 electron. Suppose you replace silicon with aluminium. For aluminium, you notice it has got valency 3, 1 absence of electron is there, which is called hole. But hole, this will not be occupied. Nature do not permit that to be remaining empty. So 1 electron from the nearby atom, here it is a germanium I have shown there, will be germanium atom will go and occupy that position. So aluminium in its environment will be now added with 1 extra negative charge, negative electron. So aluminium will become 1 aluminium ion, negative ion of aluminium negative ion. So basically, and you also get that hole will be moving. The moment 1 electron is replacing the other, so the shift in the electron will create a absence of electron or equivalent positive charge or hole. So the moment you do p-type doping, you create an absence of electron flowing in the system, that is called hole, and also you create a negative ion. So n-type doping creates 1 electron and a immobile positive ion, and immobile in the sense because it is too heavy compared to the mass of a single electron, single electron can move freely, but ions cannot. On the contrary, p-type doping means you are creating negative ion and a hole. Okay. So now you make a PN device. If you do PN junction formation, from the P side, as you can see, look at the picture. Okay, P side is occupied with positive ions, okay, positive holes, concentration is high. N side electron concentration is high. Now when you make doping, they will be combining each other. Recombination is taking place. and you are creating an area region where you see which is devoid of the charges, devoid of free charges. So it is that is called depletion region. This is more clear from this picture. Okay, you see now electrons are moving, white balls are like holes. So electron and holes are recombining. Okay, so what you are creating positive ion and negative ion across the junction. I hope everybody of you know the action of a diode depends on action of any junction device depends on how quickly or how easily the free particles, that is electrons and holes, are crossing the junction. If electrons or hole crosses the junction, then and only then you will get a current. If they move inside the bulk of the semiconductor, then that is not going to contribute to the device current. Device current will be there if the electron or hole actually to start crossing the junction. At the junction, what you witnessing? Electron or holes are initially moving in an intrinsic semiconductor, but because of recombination, electron hole recombination, you are ending up with the ions. So basically, you do not expect a current. So this is the action of a diode. So this is the you can see that is a depletion region. So now what would happen? Suppose I have to make the current to flow. You see what is happening. You make forward biasing. Forward biasing means you connect P side with the positive polarity of the battery and N side with the negative polarity of the battery. The electron from negative polarity are pushed in, you see. So now they are expected to cross the junction. You see they are crossing the junction and you get a current. Okay, it's a beautiful animation. Spend some time to see the animation. Okay, I have taken so much of pain to gain collecting them. They're available in internet, you can get it also. But you see the first you see electrons are pushed in because of the negative bias after the electrons are crossing the junction. If electron crosses the junction, you'll get current. Now what happens in reverse bias? Opposite. Electrons are pushed away. Okay, you can see electrons look at the top, electrons are moving away, pushed away from the junction. So ultimately, because of the reverse biasing, the electron inside is connected to the positive polarity of the battery. So from the junction, electron will be pulled away. It will be attracted towards the polarity, positive polarity. So depletion will grow and current will be flowing less. Okay. So at almost very low current, only minority flows, because for minorities in the p side, in the now see minority electron in the p side, now they will be pushed in because they are connected to the negative polarity, but the number is less, so current will be less. So this is the way in particle electronics we explain the whole situation. Now I will not deviate the way you learned it already. I will rather introduce the explain the whole action of the diode, not with your particle electronics concept. Will complement your, I'm not against that, I'm complementing that idea with some better knowledge. That is the knowledge of potential energy, knowledge of energy, knowledge of electrostatic forces. Okay, these are more pertinent and important. These are there. Okay, but you should know now, we are in a stage now, you should know the real physics of what is happening. So this is a junction diode, p side and n side. In the p side you can see H means holes and n side E means electron. In the p side minorities are electron, in the n side minorities are holes. So in the p side marked in green, okay, you've got a lot of electrons at the junction, those are the ions, okay, in front of the junction, and in the n side you have got positive ions in front of the junction. So that is the depletion region. They are making depletion means depleted of free charges. Okay. Now you see what is happening. This you see, suppose an electron is trying to move, trying to cross the junction, because I told you the action of the device will operate, will depend on how well the electron or holes are crossing the junction. So electrons are moving, trying to cross the junction. The moment it will try to cross the junction, what would happen? It will be initially attraction will be there. Okay. But the moment initially Coulomb will help the electron, because electron has got minus charge, positive ion will be attracting it. But the moment you see the violet color line arrow, the moment it will try to cross the junction, some negative ions are waiting in the other side of the junction. So negative electron, negative ion, there will be Coulomb repulsion. So Coulomb repulsion will be there. It will not allow the electrons to move automatically. So from the Coulomb force, if we calculate the potential energy, it gives a curve like this. Okay, potential energy curve barrier will be created. So in front of the electron, one wall is there, one barrier is there. Question is that whether electron can cross the barrier or not. You see, life of the electron is made harder by the electron coulomb, the negative ion and electron coulombic repulsion. I have given an access also how it is, how the potential energy could be calculated. You see the screen, negative ion, suppose it is minus JD, atomic number is Z. Okay, electronic charge is minus E by 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. If you put the value minus minus plus means it is repulsive force, and you can notice Fr, the repulsive force is proportional, Coulomb force is proportional to 1 by 4 r square, because potential energy is force is gradient of potential energy. So that means if you integrate force over r, you will get the potential energy. So it becomes 1 Vr, V is proportional to 1 by r. So basically V into R becomes constant. So if you increase R means in this case X, if I consider one dimensional problem, V into X will be constant. So if you plot V into X constant, that is, it is an equation of a hyperbola. So more X means less V. So it will follow a graph like this. So it will be like this much. So electron ultimately is facing a voltage barrier. It cannot go automatically, okay? Or it will go automatic to the other side if you provide the electron with more energy than the barrier height. That is called barrier height of barrier potential. If you provide more energy, electron will go, device will be on, otherwise device will be off. Okay, and this is, you see, so two options are there. If its electron energy is less than V0, it will not go, so device will be off. So now if you, okay, I hope you can see it. Electron is trying to go. You can see I've got some more points later on also. You see I've made it like a step, because you see log in the negative x, that V will almost be constant, and far in the positive x, that V will almost become 0. So I consider that x equal to 0 itself this change is taking place. Okay, so that functional dependence, it is gradually changing, is no, we are not considering to make our life easy. So now, therefore, what you do to for make the electron to flow, you have to help the electron. You have to introduce a situation E greater than V0. So what you do in normal diodes, we connect the diode with a power source supply V1. It will put a force Q into V1 on the electron. So electron will experience a force, electronic charge into V1. So what this force will do, it is pushing the electron now towards the junction. Okay, so some electrostatic force will be acting. So what would happen? Total energy of the electron will now become, earlier if it was E, it will be now E plus EV1. Okay, because it is electron is connected with negative polarity of the battery, so it is minus V1, and electronic charge is minus E. So total electrostatic force it is experiences is E into V1. Okay, so total energy earlier it was E. Now because of the field, because of the voltage, total energy becoming E plus EV1. Okay, so E plus EV1, basically what V1 is doing, it is helping the electron, this applied bias. So if it is helping the electron to increase its energy, so it is expected electron will cross the junction. Okay. Okay, so more V1 means more energy ultimately. That you do with biasing. In a diode practical, what you do, you apply biasing. Okay, so more and more energetically, you see more V1 means, you see, you can see the last bottom picture. You are making it more and more energetically up. So it is equal to the barrier height V0 or more, electron will go to the other side. Okay, and this curve will be generated. So this is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 like that. These are all the V1 you are changing. So automatically initially key, there is not sufficient for the electron to cross the barrier. In normal diode, everything begins at points. In the normal diode, this barrier height is like 0.67 electron volts. Everything begins beyond 0.7. After that, it's lot of, you see no barrier is there, so a lot of electrons can move to the other side, and you can see radical growth in the current. So this region, when you are operating here, okay, you are operating in the top circuit starts indicates the on region. Okay, device is on, and below the which the device is off. Okay. Now, the point is that action of a diode under reverse bias. If we apply reverse bias, opposite story. So same story. Reverse bias means now what would happen? The total energy, if we calculate, because now it is calculated with positive polarity of the battery, the ultimately total the energy is again into V1, but because it is connected with the positive polarity of the, okay, you see total energy will be electronic charge minus C into positive polarity V1 minus C into V1. So it is expected that what if you increase the applied voltage V1, so you are not helping the electron, okay, you are reducing the total energy of the electron. So more and more V1 means it will be reducing the energy of the electron more and more. So it will be energetically getting less and less for the electron to cross the junction. The life of the electron becomes very difficult. So in reverse bias, that's why if you increase reverse biasing, you are actually, in fact, you are reducing the ability of the electron to cross the junction. You are reducing the diode current. You are doing this much. You see, you are reducing it, so that you do not expect a current flow in the reverse bias condition. Okay, so that's why you get a reverse bias curve like this. This forward bias and the reverse bias diode current. Okay. So you can see this almost nothing, only some minority carrier will flow, because in reverse bias what happens, if you look at the structure, okay, this is the okay, you can see the reverse bias diode current. You see it is actually, look at the picture here. In the reverse bias also, electrons are in the p side are in the minority carriers. Okay, so for them it is favorable bias. So for those electrons, biasing will help them. Okay, so minorities will flow, but their number is less, so that's why they will get a very minor current, very low current, meaning okay, very low current. Okay, so this is the way a diode operates. The mantra is that you have to work below 0.7 volt or 0.67 volt in normal junctions, germanium diode. Above 0.67 volt, you know, it is the diode is on. Below that it is off. And the action of the diode is that it is off, means it is no current, no majority current you are getting, all minority currents you are flowing actually, and that is the device is off, and above that device is on. So this has been the explanation of the junction diode action. We are now trying to explain the same experiment using some quantum mechanical viewpoint. Okay, you see, because if the way I describe it, electron is a charged particle moving, electron is under electrostatic force, electron is facing Coulombic repulsion. So it's the story of all electron and electrostatic forces, okay, and their role. Okay, so because with that idea we can successfully explain the action of the junction diode. Now the question is that what is the purpose of describing this problem quantum mechanically? Quantum mechanically means I have to represent it like this. That region 1 is one region, region 2 is another region, x equal to region 1 means P, according to my drawing, region 2 means L, and x equal to 0, you see the voltage barrier. Okay, you can see the voltage barrier in the, okay, so the journey of the device action is that whether particle can cross the junction or not. If it crosses the junction, we will get a current, and if it does not cross the junction, we do not expect to get a current. Okay, that is the message. Okay, so the same problem, I think it so far I don't think it, I believe that you have got it, because basically the moment you describe it as a potential barrier, your life becomes easier. Okay, that because it's all about energy. If the matter has got more energy than the barrier, it will go. If it has got less energy than the barrier, right, it will not go. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, understand? Now you see, so whether it will go or not, so that is the story. Now the same problem I will now explain in the quantum mechanics. You will see, the moment you use quantum mechanics, same problem gives you a lot of new data, new information. One of the major application is the action of tunnel diodes. If you use quantum mechanics to the problem, you will see automatically tunneling action is following you. Tunneling is an action which takes place
mainly with semiconductors. So what happens in a tunnel layout case, those results will be produced here automatically. If I use the quantum mechanics in the same problem, you will get many new things. Actually, application of diode will go beyond the boundary, you know. Your only boundary of the application of diode is that it's a switch off on, as you can see, high low, or as you can see 0 1, that means it can be used as logic gates. You do not know anything beyond that. That is a problem. Okay, so the moment to solve this one dimensional this diode problem, you should spend some time, okay, in realizing the physical meaning of what is going on. Okay, so if you understand the physical meaning of what is going on, how the electron is moving, how high I am saying it has gotten, it is difficult for the electron to cross the barrier when it is less than V0. When it is greater than V0, you are making the electron to move across the junction. So all these things I am uttering, I am telling. So far you have been describing the whole situation with classical concept. Now we will be solving Schrodinger equation to describe the situation. And the beauty is that you will get many new application. Tunneling is one of the popular application that will be coming automatically. Okay. Okay. So I'll do that, but okay, let us take a little bit of rest. We'll do this calculation in the next class.